Good afternoon, guys. My name is Ted, and welcome to yet another video from Ted Says. I encourage you to watch this video, like the video, and please subscribe to this link and channel so that you can get other more great content. Join me today as I speak about the mishaps that patients go through when they go to hospitals. And specifically today, I want to highlight an issue that normally people talk about quite a lot, and that is the issue of misdiagnosis. It is not uncommon for you to hear peers, friends, family, and relatives say they went to a hospital, they saw a doctor, and they were given a wrong diagnosis. It is not uncommon to hear in the news or to read in the newspapers about somebody who was given a wrong diagnosis or even given a wrong treatment for that particular matter. So today, I want to highlight to us 3 things that you should do when you go to hospital and 3 things that you should never do whenever you go to hospital. Please pay attention and share widely for those who do not have access. The first thing that you should always do whenever you visit a hospital or whenever you visit a medical practitioner, be as honest as possible. Whenever you go to see a doctor or a consultant or even a nurse, make sure you are not stingy with details. Doctors are not geniuses. They might have sat in class and probably got straight A's. But when it comes to the world of medicine, and especially treatment, they are not geniuses. They rely on the information that you're going to give to them. They rely on each and everything that you're going to tell them for them to decide what treatment they're going to give you, what tests they're going to send you for, and at the end of the day, what diagnosis you have. So you want to be very honest. I will give you an example. A young man who is having difficulties with erection goes to a hospital, sees a doctor, and when the doctor asks this gentleman what the problem is, they say simply, I have this chest pain that becomes very bad at night that my wife is not able to stand it. Whenever you say that statement, the doctor starts thinking about the system that is your chest, the system that is your breathing, and connects it with other systems that depend on it for function. At the end of the day, the tests they will send you for, the treatment they will give you, will be based on what they have found when they were investigating the chest. It is not uncommon to find these people seated in groups and say, that doctor is not a professional, that doctor is not good enough, and they gave me a wrong diagnosis. If you know your problem is on the toe, talk about the toe. If you know your problem is even embarrassing, just be vulnerable to them. Tell them each and everything that they need to know. Secondly, whenever you go to hospital, make sure you give the doctor as much relevant history as possible. Even if you had a surgery to remove an appendix, however insignificant it might be, make sure you mention it to the doctor. Whatever has happened to you in the past, in terms of any histories, accidents, treatments, probably procedures done on you, you need to explain this to your doctor so that at the end of the day, they know exactly the complications that could have arose from the previous medications or treatment procedures, and they are able to decide for you a proper course of action. Lastly, whatever drugs that you're taking, whatever medication that you're taking at that point when you go to see the doctor, please make sure you mention the drugs that you're taking, mention the dosages of those drugs that you're taking, mention when you started taking those medications. Mention if there are any managements like physiotherapy or any other management that you're receiving. Make sure you mention it to the doctor so that the doctor understands that he's dealing with a case that has already had attempts at being corrected. Make sure you're honest. Make sure you tell the doctor any relevant histories, and make sure you tell the doctor about the medications that you're taking. The 3 things that you should never do whenever you go to hospital. Number 1, never have an intended diagnosis that you want the doctor to talk about. When you go to the hospital, I know there is Dr. Google, where you get all the information that you want to get. Please, when you visit a doctor, try as much as possible not to have an intended diagnosis or to have a suspicious diagnosis that you want the doctor to work with. Simply, this is what it means. When you go to hospital, don't go and give the doctor such statements as, "Doctor, I feel my kidney is aching. Doctor, I feel my pelvic bone is dislocated. Doctor, I feel my lungs have been punctured." Don't have an intended diagnosis from the various things that you have studied on the internet, and probably you think now you're a full doctor. This will simply hamper your attempt to tell the doctor what the problem is and for him to actually sort out your problem and give you the medication that you require or the intervention that you require. So try as much as possible not to go quoting diagnosis. What you suspect you have is at the end of the day, most of the times, not what you have. Secondly, don't go to a hospital only intending to gauge the ability of the doctor. There are many people who normally go because they have a previous diagnosis they are working with, and maybe they are taking medication for that diagnosis. They want to go and test another doctor and see if he will come up with the same conclusion. So you go with very scanty details, hoping that this gentleman is going to be a genius and maybe guess that what you're suffering from is what you're being treated for right now. It is morally wrong, and at the end of the day, it will be a disservice to you because you will not get the care that you should have gotten. Lastly, do not stay too long with the symptoms. Majority of the time, a simple single symptom is enough to tell you that you're having a problem. It's enough to take you to a doctor. The longer you stay with it, probably the more complex the problem becomes. At the end of the day, what could have been a simple lung disease becomes an admittable disease that will probably send you to ICU and even to theater. So that small pain that is nagging you, that cough that is not going away, please make sure you visit the nearest doctor, talk to them, and don't stay with those symptoms too long. At the end of the day, you might get there, but not in good time. So remember, please, do not go to the hospital and have an intended diagnosis. Don't go to the hospital to gauge the doctor's ability and knowledge. And lastly, don't stay too long with the symptoms. I leave you with a simple message. Stay safe, wash your hands, use a sanitizer, and at all times in public places, use a face mask. Thank you very much, and God bless you.